It was a cold, stormy night. The wind howled around the small house, shaking the windows like restless hands. The man sat alone in his living room. The clock ticked loudly. The power flickered. He thought it was just another quiet, lonely night. He was wrong. At first, he heard nothing unusual. Just the rain hitting the roof. Then, a sound came soft, weak, and broken. It was not the wind. It was not the rain. It was something else. A sound like a cry. A cry for help. He froze. The sound came again. A whisper. A faint voice outside the door. The man stood up. His heart beat faster. Who could be outside in this storm? He opened the door. The night air hit him, cold and sharp. He looked down, and then he saw her. A young woman lay collapsed on the doorstep. Her body was trembling. Her hands clutched her stomach as if she had not eaten in days. Her clothes were strange, made of thin fabric that shimmered under the weak porch light. But it was not her clothes that made him step back in shock. It was her face. Her skin glowed faintly, a soft silver light under the rain. Her eyes, half open, shone with a strange blue fire. And her hair. It gave off a faint glow, like threads of starlight. This was no ordinary woman. She was not human, the man gasped. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. But the storm, the rain, the cold air, everything was real. The woman tried to speak. Her lips moved slowly. The words were broken, not human words. Then, in a voice weak and trembling, she whispered one word he could understand. Safe. And then she fainted. The man did not know what to do. Fear held him in place. But another feeling rose in him, something stronger. Compassion. She was hurt. She was hungry. She was alone. He bent down and lifted her carefully. She was lighter than he expected, as if her body was fragile. As he carried her inside, a strange warmth spread through his arms. As if her very skin carried hidden energy. He placed her on the couch. Her breathing was shallow, her face pale under the glow. He rushed to the kitchen and brought water, bread, and fruit. He placed them near her tot for a few moments. Nothing happened. Then her eyes opened again, glowing faintly in the dark room. She looked at the food. She reached out slowly, hands shaking. She ate. Not like a guest, not like a friend, but like someone who had not seen food in many days. Every bite was desperate, every sip of water a struggle for life. The man watched in silence. He did not understand who she was or why she was here. But he knew one thing. She was real. And she needed him. When she finished, her body relaxed. She leaned back, breathing heavily, but calmer now. She tried to speak again. This time her words were broken English. Please, safe, family. Her voice cracked. Her eyes filled with tears. She was afraid. She was begging him for protection. The man felt a chill run through him. Why would an alien, a stranger from the stars, come to his doorstep? Who was she running from? Outside, the storm grew louder. The wind screamed against the house. But inside, the small living room was quiet. The only sound was her soft breathing. The man sat near her. His thoughts were racing. Should he call someone? Should he ask for help? But a part of him whispered no. If others found her, they would not be kind. They would not show mercy. For some reason he could not explain. He felt responsible. She had come to him. She had chosen his door, and in that moment, he made a decision. He would protect her. No matter what. The woman's eyes closed slowly, her body finally giving in to rest. The glow from her skin dimmed, but it was still there, soft and otherworldly. The man leaned back in his chair. He stared at her, still unsure if this was a dream or reality. He whispered to himself, "Who are you? Why are you here?" The storm raged on outside. But inside that small house, something much greater had begun. A story of danger. A story of trust. A story that would change his life forever. Because this was not just a strange night. This was the night when humanity met the unknown. This was the night when a simple man took in a hungry alien. Woman, and nothing would ever be the same again. Morning came slowly. The storm was gone, leaving behind silence and damp air. The man woke up in his chair. His neck hurt, his eyes felt heavy. For a moment, he thought last night was only a dream. Then he turned his head. The woman was still there. The alien girl. She was sleeping on the couch, wrapped in an old blanket he had placed on her. Her faint glow was weaker in daylight, but it was still there, her skin soft like silver, her hair shining faintly, like a thread of light. The man stared at her. He felt a strange pull inside him, a mix of curiosity and fear. Should he wake her? Should he send her away? He did not know. But before he could decide, her eyes opened. They glowed again, bright blue, like small flames in the morning light. She sat up quickly, looking around the room with sharp, wild movements. She was afraid. She looked like a cornered animal. The man raised his hand slowly. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe." Her eyes locked on him. For a moment, she said nothing. Then her lips moved. "Safe," she whispered. The words sounded heavy, broken, but real. She touched her chest, then pointed at him. "You, safe." The man nodded. "Yes, safe." Her breathing slowed a little, but she still looked restless. Her stomach made a weak sound. Hunger, the man walked to the kitchen. He brought back bread, a boiled egg, and a cup of warm milk. He placed it carefully on the table near her. At first, she stared at the food as if it were strange objects. Then she reached out with shaking hands. She ate fast, desperate, like last night. But this time she paused between bites and glanced at him, as if checking if he would take it away. He did not. When she finished, she sat back. Her eyes softened. She tried again to speak. "Family," she asked in a fragile voice. The man frowned. He was not sure what she meant. "Family?" he repeated. She nodded quickly, her glowing hair moving with emotion. She touched her chest again. "No family, alone." Then she pointed at him. "Now family?" The man felt his chest tightened. She was not just asking for food. She was not just asking for safety. She was asking for belonging. But why him? Why here? Before he could answer, something strange happened. She lifted her hand, touched a small cut on his arm, a cut he had gotten from carrying firewood. As her fingers touched the wound, a soft light spread from her hand. The cut closed. The pain was gone. The man stared in shock. "You healed me," he whispered. The woman gave a small, tired smile. Her voice was weak, but her words were clear enough this time. "I help." Family. Silence filled the room. The man tried to think, but his mind was heavy with questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? And why did she call him family? He wanted to ask her more, but her body trembled again. She looked around nervously, as if sensing something outside. Her eyes grew wide. She whispered, "Hunters." The man froze. "Hunters," he repeated. She nodded, fear filling her glowing eyes. "They find me." She grabbed his hand with surprising strength. "Please hide. Safe." The man felt the hairs on his neck rise. The storm might have passed, but a bigger storm was coming. He looked at the door. The world outside seemed calm, but now it felt dangerous. Was someone, or something, looking for her? The woman's grip tightened. She was shaking. She was terrified. The man had no proof of hunters, no sign of danger yet. But her fear was real. Her voice was real. And deep inside, he believed her. He nodded slowly. "Okay, you're safe here. I'll protect you." The woman let out a small breath of relief. Her eyes softened, but they still carried sadness. She leaned against the couch, whispering to herself in words he could not understand. The language was alien, filled with sounds unlike anything he had heard. But her tone was heavy, almost like a prayer. The man sat back in silence. He looked at her glowing face, at her fragile body, and he felt something grow inside him. Not just fear, not just curiosity, but a strange bond. She had trusted him. She had called him family, and even though he did not understand why, he could not let her down. The morning sun rose higher, filling the room with light. But inside the man's heart, shadows of questions grew deeper. Who was she really? What world did she come from? And if hunters were truly out there, how long before they reached his door? He looked at her one last time. She had fallen asleep again, her glow dim but steady. He whispered to himself, "This is not just first contact. This is the beginning of something bigger." And he was right. The story was only starting. The days passed slowly. The man's small house, once quiet and ordinary, now carried a strange presence. The alien woman stayed mostly silent, watching everything with alert eyes. She learned quickly. Every morning she studied his words, repeating them in her broken English. Every evening she sat near the window, staring at the night sky as if waiting for something, or fearing something. The man had questions. 1,000 questions. But he was careful. She was fragile, still afraid. And he did not want to break the fragile trust she had given him. One evening, as the sun dropped behind the trees, the woman touched the man's arm. Her eyes glowed brighter than usual. She whispered, "You, trust me." The man nodded slowly. "Yes, I trust you." She seemed to hesitate, then stood up. She walked to the center of the room. Her hand lifted. A soft light formed in her palm like a tiny star floating above her skin. The man's mouth opened in shock. The light grew, spreading across the room like a gentle wave. The walls seemed to disappear. The man gasped. Around him, a vision appeared in an endless sea of stars. Galaxies spinning and strange ships moving like shadows in the distance. The woman's voice trembled as she spoke. "My world. Far. Very far." The vision shifted. A planet appeared, blue and green, covered in shining towers that touched the clouds. Strange creatures with glowing skin like hers walked peacefully in gardens of light. The place was beautiful. It looked alive, filled with harmony. But then the vision darkened. Fire, explosions, ships falling from the sky. The towers shattered. Screams filled the air. The peaceful beings ran, but behind them came others, dark figures, hunters, with armor like metal shadows and weapons that cut through light itself. The woman's face twisted in pain. "War," she whispered. "Hunters. Destroy. Kill family. Kill all." The vision showed her people falling, broken, crying. Then the image shifted again, her own face, running through a burning city, clutching a small child's hand. But the child fell, lost in the fire. The woman screamed, tears streaming down her glowing face. The man's chest tightened. He could feel her pain as if it were his own. The vision ended. The light vanished. The room was dark again, except for her faint silver glow. She sank to her knees, shaking. The man rushed to her side. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe now." But she shook her head. Her voice was low and broken. "Not safe. Hunters follow. They never stop." Her words hit him like cold iron. If what she said was true, danger was not far away. It could already be close. The woman touched her chest, then touched his. No family now. You, family. Protect. Together. The man's breath caught. He did not expect this. He was just an ordinary man, living an ordinary life. And now an alien from another world had chosen him as her family. But before he could answer, she reached for his arm again. She placed her glowing hand on his skin. Suddenly, images flashed in his mind, not visions this time, but feelings. He felt her hunger, her fear, her loneliness. He felt her endless run across cold worlds, always hiding, always hunted. And beneath it all, he felt her hope. A small light in the dark. The hope that maybe, just maybe, she had found someone who would not leave her. The man's eyes watered. He could not stop the emotion. He put his hand over hers. "You're not alone anymore," he said firmly. "Not while I'm here." The woman's eyes filled with tears that shimmered like liquid light. She whispered one word again. "Family." A silence followed. But it was not empty. It was heavy, filled with meaning. The man knew then that he could not turn back. Whatever danger was coming, whatever hunters chased her, he was now part of it. He had taken her in. And now her secret was his secret too. Outside, the night grew darker. A strange hum moved through the air, distant but sharp, like metal cutting the sky. The woman stiffened. Her eyes widened in fear. "They come," she whispered. The man rushed to the window. He saw nothing yet, just the dark trees and the empty road. But his heart raced. He believed her. Somewhere beyond the horizon, something was moving closer. And now, for the first time, he understood the truth. This was not just a visitor from the stars. This was not just a lost stranger. This was the beginning of a war that had reached his doorstep, and the secret he had just learned could cost him everything. Night returned, heavy and silent. The man sat awake in his chair. His house, once a place of peace, now felt like a fragile shelter against the unknown. The alien woman lay on the couch, her glow faint, her breathing soft. She was resting, but not calm. Even in sleep, her body twitched as if she were running in her dreams. The man stared at the window. He could not forget her last words. "They come?" For hours, nothing happened. The world outside was quiet. Only the sound of crickets and the occasional howl of wind. But then, it began, a faint hum in the air. Low, metallic. It vibrated through the glass, through the wood of the walls. His heart skipped. It was not thunder. It was not any sound he had heard before. The woman's eyes snapped open. She sat up quickly, her body glowing brighter. "They hear," she whispered. The man stood, his chest tight. He rushed to the window and pulled the curtain back. At first, he saw nothing. Just the empty road and the forest beyond. But then he saw a light moving between the trees. Not the light of cars. Not the glow of lamps. These were sharp beams of white and red, cutting through the darkness like searching eyes. The woman's hands shook. "Hunters," she said, voice trembling. The man's mouth went dry. He had thought her warnings were distant. He had thought maybe there was still time. But now the hunters were here, at his door. The hum grew louder. Shadows moved across the ground outside, tall and inhuman. He could hear the crunch of boots, the hiss of strange machines. The woman grabbed his arm. "Please hide." He looked at her, then at his small house. Hide? But where? The walls were thin, the doors weak. Still, he nodded. He led her down to the basement. The basement was dark, filled with old boxes and tools. He guided her to a corner behind a stack of crates. "Stay here," he whispered. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. "You not leave?" "I won't leave," he said. "But I need to see what they want." She clutched his hand one last time before letting go. Her glow dimmed, almost as if she was trying to hide it. The man climbed back upstairs. His hands shook as he reached for the shotgun above the fireplace, a weapon he had never used for more than scaring away wild animals. It felt heavy, almost useless against whatever waited outside. Then came the sound. A knock. Not gentle, not human. A loud, mechanical thud on the door. The man froze. His breath caught. Another knock, louder this time. And then a voice. Cold, metallic, not from any human throat. Open door. The man gripped the shotgun tighter. He said nothing. The voice came again, sharper. Open or break. His chest pounded. His mind raced. If he opened, they would take her. If he refused, they might destroy everything. Silence followed. For a moment, he thought they had gone. Then came the sound of claws scraping against wood. The door rattled. Shadows moved past the window. He crouched low, hiding by the side of the door. His finger brushed the trigger. Through the window, he caught a glimpse of one of them. Tall, armored, its face hidden under a dark mask with glowing red eyes. It carried a weapon unlike anything he had seen, humming with energy. Another figure joined it, then another. They were surrounding the house. The man's body trembled. How could he fight them? He was just one man, and yet, deep inside, something pushed him forward. The memory of the woman's glowing tears. Her voice when she said, "Family." The way she had healed his wound. He could not give her up. Not now. The door shook harder. Cracks formed in the wood. The hunters hissed in their strange language. The man knew he had only moments. He pulled the curtains shut, killed the lamp, and crouched low in the dark. He whispered to himself, "Think. You need to think." His eyes scanned the room. The fireplace, the kitchen, the back door, traps, distractions. Delay them just enough to protect her. Outside, the hum grew louder. The hunters were preparing to break in. The man whispered into the dark, his voice firm despite the fear. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." He positioned himself, shotgun ready. His body shook, but his will held strong. The first crack of the door echoed through the night. Wood splintered. Red light poured into the room. The hunters were here, and the fight for survival had begun. The door broke, which shattered across the floor as the hunters stormed inside. Their tall, armored bodies filled the room. Red lights blinked from their masks. Strange weapons glowed in their hands, humming with deadly power. The man hid behind the old couch, his shotgun shaking in his grip. His heart pounded so loud he feared they would hear it. One hunter stepped forward. Its voice was metallic, sharp, and full of command. "Target," where another scanned the room with a beam of red light. Sweeping across walls and furniture, the man swallowed. If they found her in the basement, it would be over. He had to act. He took a deep breath, stood, and fired. The shotgun blast thundered in the small house. The nearest hunter staggered back, sparks flashing from its armor. It let out a screech, half mechanical, half animal. The others turned instantly. Red eyes locked onto him. The man ducked behind the couch as beams of energy cut through the air, scorching wood and burning holes in the walls. The heat seared past his face. Smoke filled the room. The smell of fire and metal burned his lungs. He crawled low, moving toward the kitchen. His mind screamed, "Delay them, just delay them." He grabbed a glass bottle from the counter and threw it across the room. It shattered loudly. The hunters turned toward the noise. Firing beams at shadows, the man slipped out through the back door, then circled toward the basement window. He had to reach her dot inside. The hunters moved like machines, scanning, breaking, searching. One kicked open the basement door. The woman crouched in the corner, her glow faint but visible. She gasped as the red beam swept over her. The hunter raised its weapon before it could fire. The man burst back in through the basement window, crashing onto the floor. He swung the shotgun and pulled the trigger. The blast hit the hunter in the chest, knocking it against the wall. "Run!" He shouted. The woman's eyes glowed bright. She raised her hands, and light surged from her palms. A wave of energy burst out, slamming into the hunters at the doorway. They staggered, armor sparking, red lights flickering. The man stared in shock. He had seen her heal. He had seen her show visions. But now he saw her power as a weapon. The woman grabbed his arm. Together. She cried. The hunters roared, charging forward. The man and the alien moved as one. He fired, she blasted. His bullets cracked against armor, slowing them. Her light waves threw them back, shaking the house. But the hunters were strong, too strong. For every one that fell, two more pushed forward. The house trembled under the fight. The man's shotgun clicked empty. He cursed, swinging the weapon like a club. He struck one across the head. It stumbled, but did not fall. The woman screamed, her glow flaring like fire. She threw out both hands. A surge of blinding light filled the basement. The hunters shrieked, covering their masks. "Go!" She shouted. "Outside?" The man grabbed her hand. Together they ran up the stairs, bursting out into the cold night. The forest stretched before them, dark and endless. Behind them, the hunters smashed through the walls, their red lights cutting through smoke. The woman pointed to the trees. "Hide!" They sprinted, feet pounding the wet ground. Branches tore at their clothes. The man's lungs burned. But he did not stop. He could not stop. The hunters followed, fast and relentless. Their weapons fired, beams slicing trees, lighting up the night like lightning. The man dove behind a fallen log. The woman crouched beside him, gasping. "They not stop," she whispered, eyes wide with fear. The man looked at her, sweat pouring down his face. His chest heaved. "Then we don't stop either." He picked up a sharp branch from the ground, gripping it like a spear. It was useless against armor, but it was all he had. The woman closed her eyes. Her glow grew stronger. She touched his arm, and a warm rush spread through him. His fear lessened. His strength returned. He looked at her, stunned. "What did you do?" She whispered. "Hope." The hunter's shadows grew closer, their red eyes cutting through the dark. The man raised his makeshift weapon. The woman raised her glowing hands. Side by side, they prepared to fight again. The night was alive with danger. But together, they were not powerless, and for the first time, the man realized this was no longer just about hiding. This was war. The forest was quiet again. Smoke drifted from broken trees where the hunters' weapons had burned the bark. The man and the alien woman crouched low behind a fallen log, their bodies trembling from exhaustion. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of their ragged breathing filled the night. Finally, the woman lifted her glowing eyes. "Safe," she whispered. The man scanned the shadows. The hunters were gone for now. Perhaps the forest had hidden them. Perhaps her blast of light had scared them away. But he knew it was not over. They would return. He nodded slowly. For now? Yes. Safe. Her body sagged with relief. She leaned against the log, her glow dimming, her face pale. She looked fragile, like a candle ready to go out. The man touched her shoulder gently. "You saved me back there." Her lips trembled into a faint smile. "We save. Together." He stared at her for a long moment. He remembered the fear when the hunters first broke in. He remembered her scream, her light bursting like fire. And he remembered her word family. Why did that word matter so much to her? Why did she keep saying it? As if reading his thoughts, she lifted her hand and placed it over her chest. "My family." Gone, she said softly. Hunters take all. Mother, father, brother, all gone. Her voice cracked. Tears shimmered in her glowing eyes. I run. I hide, alone. The man's throat tightened. He had seen her visions of war. But hearing her broken voice made the pain more real. Then she touched his chest with her other hand. But now, you protect. You stay. You fight. Her voice was fragile but steady. You are family now. The man's breath caught. He was just a simple man with a small life and no great purpose. But in her eyes, he was more than that. He was hope. He nodded slowly, voice low but firm. Yes, family. The word hung in the air, simple but powerful. For the first time since she arrived, the woman's shoulders relaxed. A small laugh escaped her lips, soft, almost musical. It was the sound of relief, of comfort. They stayed there for a while, hidden in the quiet forest. The man tore a piece of his shirt and wrapped it around her arm, where the fight had left a burn. She smiled faintly. With a touch of her hand, the wound healed, leaving only smooth skin. You keep fixing me, he said, with a weak smile. She tilted her head, her silver hair glowing faintly. Family. Fix family. The words warmed him more than the fire ever could. Later, when the night grew colder, they returned carefully to the house. It was half-destroyed, walls broken, furniture burned, glass shattered. The place smelled of smoke and fear. The woman's eyes filled with sadness. She touched a broken chair, then looked at him. Sorry, he shook his head. Don't be. This was just a house. He looked at her. You are what matters now. Her glow brightened faintly at his words. She sat on the floor among the ruins, her small frame curled under the blanket he gave her. The man lit a single candle, its light flickering against the broken walls. They sat together in silence. The world outside was dangerous. The hunters would come again. But inside this ruined house, there was something new. A bond stronger than fear. The man leaned back, staring at the weak flame of the candle. He thought of his past lonely nights, empty rooms, quiet meals. And now here she was, an alien from another world. A stranger who had collapsed at his door. And somehow she was no longer a stranger. She was family. As he closed his eyes, he felt her shift closer. Her small hand touched his arm. Gentle, warm. Glowing faintly. You're not alone, she whispered. He opened his eyes and looked at her. Neither are you. A soft peace settled between them. Not the peace of safety because danger was still near, but the peace of connection, of trust. The man knew he could not protect her forever. He was only one man. But together, maybe they could survive. Maybe they could do more than survive. The woman looked toward the broken window, where the stars shone bright in the night sky. Her voice was almost a prayer. One day, I show you my world. The man followed her gaze. The stars looked different, now not distant lights, but doors to something bigger. He whispered, then I'll be ready. The candle flickered. The house groaned. The night was still. For the first time, neither of them felt alone. Morning came quietly. Sunlight broke through the cracks in the ruined house, touching the floor with golden light. The man woke slowly, his body sore, his mind heavy. For a moment, he thought it had all been a nightmare, the storm, the hunters, the fight. Then he turned his head. The alien woman sat near the broken window, wrapped in a blanket. Her silver glow shimmered faintly in the morning light, softer now, almost human. She was staring at the sky, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The man rose to his feet and joined her. The forest outside looked calm, as if nothing strange had ever happened. But he knew the truth. The hunters were still out there. They would return. He spoke quietly. "We can't stay here." The woman nodded. Her voice was soft but steady. "Hunters come again, stronger, always stronger." He looked at her. She seemed fragile sitting there, but he remembered the blast of light in the basement. The way she had stood against the hunters. She was not weak. She was just tired. "Where do we go?" he asked. Her eyes shifted to the stars, still faint in the morning sky. "Far hide, but not forever. One day, fight back." The man was silent. He had never thought of fighting a war, never imagined facing enemies from the stars. Yet when she spoke, it didn't sound impossible. It sounded like destiny. She turned to him. "You still stay." He didn't answer right away. His life had been simple, ordinary. Work, home, sleep, repeat. But in the short days since she collapsed at his door, everything had changed. He had fought, he had protected, he had risked his life. And he had felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. He met her glowing eyes. "I stay." For the first time, she smiled fully. Not a small, tired smile, but a real one. It lit her whole face, brighter than her silver glow. Then, family. The man felt warmth spread through him. The word no longer sounded strange. It sounded right. They spent the day gathering what little they could: food, water, blankets, tools. The house was no longer safe. By nightfall, they stood at the edge of the forest, the road stretching ahead like an unwritten story. The woman looked nervous, clutching the blanket around her shoulders. But she also looked determined. She had lost everything on her world, yet here she was, ready to start again. The man placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." She looked at him, eyes bright with tears that shimmered like stars. "And you, no alone too." Together, they walked into the forest, leaving the broken house behind. The night air grew colder, but above them, the sky opened wide, filled with stars. She stopped for a moment and lifted her hand. A small sphere of light appeared in her palm, glowing gently. It floated upward, joining the stars until it vanished. The man asked, "What was that?" Her voice was soft. "Signal, not for hunters. For my people. If any still alive, they see, they know. I live." The man's heart tightened. So much loss, and yet she still held hope. He whispered, "Maybe one day they'll find you." She shook her head gently. "No, we find them, together." The word struck him deeply. A simple word, but full of meaning. He was no longer just a man in a quiet house. He was part of something larger. They walked on, deeper into the night. The road was uncertain, the danger far from over. But there was light between them now, her glow, and the fire of trust they had built. As the stars shone above, the man thought of the future. Maybe the hunters would come again. Maybe there were more enemies out there. But there would also be allies. And there would be family. The woman looked at him one last time before the forest swallowed them both. Her voice was calm, but filled with promise. "New beginning." The man nodded. His voice carried quiet strength. Yes, a new beginning. And with that, he disappeared into the night. Two souls from different worlds, bound together not by blood, but by choice. The story was not ending. It was only changing, because sometimes family is not given. Sometimes family is found, and sometimes family is what saves the universe.